Ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, what's going on? What's the happy haps? Cheers, guys. Cheers. Welcome back to Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments, your twice weekly jive into the worlds of news, shit, piss, and all things awful. What is going on out there, people? What is going on? What have we been up to recently, of late? What are the latest developments in your life? What's the happy haps? What have we got coming up tonight? What's on the itinerary this evening? Tonight we've got to look at our old friend Darren Grimes. What's he been up to in his first month as an independent journalist, as a free speech advocate, guys? We've got a district in America that's had to legislate to stop its local churches from luring kids to Bible classes with sweets. That's happening over in America. Of course it is. And we've got a bit of the usual, Labour, Reform, and Tories domestic party politics, parliamentary politics and fuckery to make sense of. Once again. But first, let me adopt a Holly Willoughby stance and tone. First, how are you? How are you? Are you okay? Are you all right, guys? Binfluencers, people of the booge, people watching at home, people listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. How are you? Are you okay? How have you been? Me? I've been in something of an existential funk recently. I don't know how you guys are handling life, love, the universe, the formerly Great Britain, how you're handling our god-awful timeline that we're all enduring week after week, month after month. But for me, it kind of hit me like a train, really. Yesterday morning at time of recording, Tuesday night, I had a militant case of the Mondays yesterday. Mad case of the Mondays, so I did. I was chatting to Graham of Politics Social. If you don't follow Politics Social, obviously go over there, give him a look. They do a live show every Friday night also. I was chatting with Graham and Tan, Super Tansky, who, of course, most of you will be following already. I was chatting to them yesterday in a WhatsApp chat, and I was saying how shit I feel about basically everything now, how hopeless everything feels. I was saying, society is just fucked, unequal. And that inequality is just ballooning. It's exploding. It's not getting any better. Nobody's got any solutions for it. I said politics is fucked. Labour aren't doing what we need them to do. Seems like the only people, as one of my followers on Blue Sky mentioned this morning, Kai. What's up, Kai, if you're listening? She said the only people that Labour seem determined to stand up to is their own supporters, their own membership. That's the only people that they seem able to stand up to and piss off. Everyone else is like, oh, what can we do to make you happy? How can we better appease you? Daily Mail. Floating voters, centre-right voters, reform voters. So society's fucked. Politics is fucked. My weekend was pretty full on. My Sunday was a sort of paradoxical mix of being super happy that I no longer drink. Because I was sort of like, oh, you know what? I'm really happy that I'm not hungover today. I was saying as I was taking my children out for the day on Sunday. I'm really happy that I've stopped drinking, that I'm not hungover for things like this. Like I'm able to fully enjoy this this experience as we took them like clip and climbing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Sort of like an indoor go ape kind of thing. You got the harnesses on, the clip, and you clip onto the thing, you climb up the walls, right? So it started like that. The day out started like that. Wholesome, grateful, sober, clear-headed, having a good time. I was happy that I wasn't drinking. But within 2 hours of leaving that place, they were my two children. They're like age 4 and age 8. They were so worn out and crabby. Like the tantrums, guys. The fucking tantrums on Sunday afternoon. The back chat was just off the scale. Cheekiness. It's like in the space of 4 or 5 hours, I went from being like, I'm so glad that I don't drink anymore. I'm so happy that I'm clear-headed and sober. I can enjoy this. I went from that to smash cutting to like, oh, Jesus Christ, somebody get me a fucking scotch. People are like, I thought you said you were happy you were clear-headed. I don't want to be clear-headed anymore. I want to be fuzzy. I want to be numb to this stress and chaos. Is what it was. So I'm talking to Tan and Graham. I'm like, everything's fucked. It was a full-on weekend. I'm desperate to make this podcast my main thing, but it's like, how do you even do that in this day and age? How do you blow up? How do you make this thing your main thing, your main breadwinner job? Like, you put your fucking all into it, and it grows basically like the economy, doesn't it? There's no explosion or like return to growth or impressive figures to it. It's like I'm like Starmer standing over the economy, desperately trying to get it to breathe life. It's like that's me with this podcast. Stood there with defibrillators, like, come on! And I'm stood there, I'm WhatsApping all this. This depressive, sort of defeatist, hopeless kind of thing, monologue, whatever, on WhatsApp, Graham and Tan. And I'm feeling really sorry for myself. And then I swear to God, this is true. Just as I'm talking about this stuff, just as I'm super depressive and all like, woe is me, feeling really shit about myself, how hard my weekend was, life, society, politics, everything. Just as I'm talking about this, a fucking bird shat on me. I swear to God, this happened yesterday. A bird shit on me on my favorite jacket, my long, posh black coat that I wear into London when I want to look smart. Fucking pigeon overheard me, clearly, talking about how terrible everything is, how depressed I am. Heard my whining, and it heard my whining as though it was the bat signal, didn't it? That's what happened. The pigeon heard this moaning coming from down there. It was like the bat signal. It was like, yeah, do you know what? Fucking here I come. Here I come, reporting for duty, it thought to itself. And it just dropped its guts right on me, right down my favorite posh black jacket, guys. And honestly, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe the perfection of the moment, the timing of the moment. Like, it was like I was in a Farrelly Brothers movie from the 90s, about a depressed father of two in his 40s walking along, oh, everything's so shit. And then a bird shits on him. But the timing was just out of this world. And I was telling Graham, I was telling Tan about it. And, Tan was saying, like, joking that I should go and, like, find the pigeon. Did it? Go and catch the pigeon. I was like, oh, I would. I absolutely would. Like, I love animals. I'm a friend to the animal kingdom, absolutely. But, like, right there in that second, it would have been like, Ace Ventura, right? The beginning of Ace Ventura, the first one, where he's, like, hunting the white bird for like a $50,000 reward or something, and he's like perched on a rooftop, I think it is, or is it a balcony? And he like leaps to go and catch this white bird because he wants to get the reward. I would be like that, but I would just like leap it. All you would see is like a flying fist towards this fucking pigeon. I'd pay good money to see the CCTV of it afterwards, of a grown man leaping, just grabbing the pigeon just by one of the wings and then beating a grown man, beating the shit out of a pigeon. Put that on YouTube. 8. Watch your viewing figures explode. Overtake the UK's growth, if indeed that is possible. So yeah, I would do that. And you see me walk into the Esso garage afterwards for my coffee. And the guy would be like, what's that on your jacket? I'd be like, it's a bird shit on me. And he's like, no, that bit. I'd be like, that's pigeon blood all up that side. Slam the bird on the counter like we're in some sort of fucked up Monty Python sketch. Right, so anyway, I was in something of an existential funk yesterday. I think I fought my way out of it now. But I guess what I'm saying more broadly is that I had a tough start to the week, guys, emotionally, psychologically, and frankly, I need this thing to start growing. So do me a favor before we start the podcast proper, before we really get into this stuff in earnest. Do me a favor and either join the channel if you haven't joined already, or can you do me, if you're not in a position to do that, send a link to an episode that you have enjoyed to a friend who you think may enjoy it also. Right. On that note, should we actually talk about some politics, maybe? Yeah? Should we try and venture into something barely resembling professional broadcast and political comment? What's going on? What's going on out there? What's happening here in Blighty? We've got Labour. The Labour government in all kinds of trouble again this week. Freebies for Rachel Reeves. There's talk of austerity cuts. There's talk of rescinding free school meals for some children in reception year and year one. There's the Daily Telegraph also, who are suggesting that Pimlico plumbers Charlie Mullins, who you've probably seen on GB News and Talk TV and all of the other mediums of tedium. Charlie Mullins is being punished. He's having his free speech taken away from him because we talked a bit about this on the paper review. Because he went on Twitter and he said somebody should kill Sadiq Khan. That's what he said. He said that on Twitter, online. He said, I'm not paraphrasing. I'm not, single quote mark quoting. Not my interpretation of what he meant. He actually said that. He said somebody should kill Sadiq Khan. And then the body that looks after the OBEs, these meaningless fucking little crest medals that they dish out, they said, you're going to bring this whole thing into disrepute if you don't retract that statement, if you don't stop saying the crazy shit, Charlie. Think before you speak, son. Or we might have to take away your OBE. If you're going to say insane things, Charlie. I don't know if we could let you have that thing. It's supposed to be an honor. It's supposed to be like the best of the best in each industry, in charities, in this place and that place. Frankly, you make a mockery of it when you come out front and center and start suggesting the murder of elected politicians. I just don't know if that's conducive with the best of the best, Charlie. But this is, of course, front page of the Telegraph. This is being reported as though somehow it is an attack on free speech, guys. That's clearly what it is. It's, it's not death threats. It's not trying to rally the troops. It's not incitement to violence. Or even more seriously, incitement of racial violence. It's nothing to do with that, guys. Forget, why are you trying to muddy the waters with all of your wokey, left-wing Marxist nonsense? No, clearly what this is inexplicably, King Charles has gone woke, and he's decided to curtail the free speech of thought leaders. I mean, this is the thing that gets me, right? It's like, if you were trying to curtail free speech, if you really wanted to make an example of people or terrify people on the right into no longer saying what they truly thought about things, if that was your goal, wouldn't you start with somebody like a little bit more important than a fucking plumber who's been on GB News like twice? Really? Like, isn't there a slightly more high profile, more consequential figure that you might attack? Like, do we really think Keir Starmer sat there in the back rooms of 10 Downing Street going like, whoa, do you know who's top of my list? Do you know who's top of my list as a Marxist, leftist, fucking hater of free speech, who I really see as a threat? That fucking plastic plumber, stretched face GB News cunt. Like, constantly, endlessly threatening to leave Britain. Like, he's going to be gone. Every week he's going to be gone. Well, if it carries on like this, I might just have to leave Britain. Go then! Fuck off! Why are you here? It's obviously making you unhappy, Charlie. Do we really think that Keir Starmer is in the back room of 10 Downing Street worrying this much over what Charlie Mullins says? Do we? Really? Well, we don't, do we? The Telegraph do. It was the front page of the Telegraph. Free speech row enacts or elicits. What was it? Threat to take reform donors OBE. Ignites free speech row, it says. I mean, what I've been having fun with recently is fighting fire with fire, you might have noticed. Which is where we take something or like a way of approaching things or a way of interpreting things that is more often seen on the right by way of like, let's with the Telegraph, like it's the fantasy nightmare thing, right? Dreaming up nightmares of which then you personally are terrified. And the thing that I rehashed this morning on the paper review was the idea of kid farming, right? So this conspiracy theory that Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch are engaging in kid farming to keep the population of white indigenous British babies, good old great British white babies, that they're engaging in kid farming to keep that population up and to eventually staff great British sweatshops. That was my fantasy nightmare that I dreamt up. Another one that we wheeled out also on the paper review was that, as all of these papers are tabling various benefits, various state costs, like your pension, like free school meals, because everybody knows that there's a £20 billion hole right in the Treasury. They're desperately trying to find 10, 20, 30 billion to fill this black hole. So what they're doing now, the newspapers, is they just highlight any state cost, any benefit. They're like, what's going to happen to your heating subsidy? What's going to happen to your free school meals? Nobody's ruled it out yet. And so I was like, nobody has yet ruled out selling the Falklands, right? Because that would raise tens of billions of dollars or pounds or whatever. Nobody's ruled it out yet. And so this is, anyway, this is my thing now, is take what the right do, flip it on its head and serve it back to them. It's good fun. Good fun, guys. And, what would that be in this instance? The Daily Telegraph, threat to take reform donors OBE ignites free speech row. It's a free speech row because somebody somewhere has decided, do you know what? If you're going to say stuff about murdering Sadiq Khan, if that's the sort of rubbish that's going to come out of your mouth, I'm not sure that you are the sort of person who we should be awarding with some sort of, national regal medallion crest thing. So can we have it back, please, right? But they're positioning it as a free speech row. I was thinking, like, if lobbying for the murder of your political adversaries, if that is to be tolerated, nay celebrated and protected by people like the Daily Telegraph. Well, then what's to stop me from sitting here and going like, somebody should murder the political editors of every single right-wing broadsheet, and these guys would protect it. You can't say that, Aid. Somebody should arrest him. No. No, this is just a free speech row that's arising here. This is just igniting a free speech row. Where's Toby Young? Where is Toby Young to valiantly protect my free speech, guys? Anyway, whilst we're talking about, right-wing free speech advocates, I suppose we should take a quick look at our friend Darren Grimes, should we not? Because Darren Grimes formerly of GB News, he resigned from GB News. You will know if you've been watching our little show for a while. He resigned from GB News about a month ago, I guess it was now, to pursue a career as an independent free speech journalist. And it seems like not an hour has gone by since then where he hasn't said something along the lines of, look, it's just me now. I need your support. Now I'm out here as an indie journalist, a free speech advocate. Now I can finally say whatever I like without the hand of the man or a manager or a producer coming down hard on me, restricting my ability to tell you people the truth. And so I thought it might be interesting to check in on him. Check in on old Daz and see what sort of truths he's been empowered to share since he left GB News, since that great restriction on his mouth was lifted. Because, I don't want to be all, facetious about it. I don't want to trivialize that move. It must have been big and traumatic, certainly for his current account, to voluntarily leave GB News. Do you remember his statement and the teary-eyed exit that he broadcast on GB News? Very touching stuff. But he said it was a mutual decision and he voluntarily left. Now he's an independent journalist. Now he doesn't have the man breathing down his neck any longer. So now he can finally say what he always wanted to say. So let's see what that is. What has he been saying now that he's free to, guys? What is the truth that he is now unfurling into our eye sockets and indeed into our ear holes? Let's check in with Daz. Okay, so first up, he's put a video up on his Substack. Can't tell you how delighted I would be if I was paying $5.99 a month for exclusive Darren Grimes content, and I got a notif to tune in for this. Dear Darren returns, the jaw-dropping cases that prove Britain's broken system, and here he is pretending to be Rachel Reeves, and it's not massively different to Darren Grimes humiliates activist judges in hilarious rants over human rights legal lunacy. It's not hugely different to it. Seems kind of similar, but I'm sure there's something different to it. I mean, on this one, he's got it appears he's lost the expensive wardrobe. Instead, he's got a wig on, hasn't he? He's wearing a wig now. I mean, is this really the sort of thing that GB News was prohibiting him from doing? Because this is one of those rare instances where actually I'm on GB News' side. Like, sometimes I seriously think that, with all their fighting and bashing and disparaging of the education sector, like, none of them like universities, do they? Our Remainer universities. Sometimes I think half the problem there is that people like me would happily pay for them to go to university just to learn the simple fact that, like, it's not always an encroachment on your freedom of speech. It's not always some attack on your freedom of expression. If an investor in GB News or a producer of your program says, yeah, do you want to sack off the Dear Darren segment? Honestly, Darren, I don't know if there's a massive market for right-wing, alt-right culture war cretins trying pathetically to punch above their weight with regards to like nuance and, you know, subversive self-referential humor or whatever the fuck that's supposed to be. You know, you're dealing with a journo-political class of viewer who literally, they just want hate and despair just soiled into their eyeballs. They don't want you to do your jokes and your shit wig. Leave that to the lefties, son. All these guys want is fear, fright, hate, an old white guy in an expensive suit sat next to a very young woman who looks like she could be a fucking intern, and both of them clapping their gums nonsensically over the back of a picture of a dinghy coming into Calais or Dover. So that's all they want. That's all they want. Give the people what they want, Darren. Oh, this sounds like an attack on my free speech. No, it's not. It's commercial. It's purely commercial, Daz. Let's see what else he's been doing, shall we? So we've got Dear Darren Returns. We've got I'm Standing for Reform.
Hello, guys. I'm live, and we've got a lot to get through tonight. I hope you're all having a fantastic time.
Having a blast, mate.
And that you can hear us all right, because that's always a key start. There's not worse than not being able to hear someone and them just looking like a bit of a TWAT. I'm assuming that the audio is coming through this little microphone here. So if I step over to here, which should follow me, then you can still hear me, potentially. But,
I mean, that's how you know this guy's a pro. That's how you know, isn't it? Nothing says good content, great content, quite like live streaming your sound check.
Denise says, hope you're okay. Must have been an emotional and exciting week. You can say that again, Denise. It certainly has been. I've just left my brother's house. He has this beautiful baby girl. She's 1 year old now. So being with her, you know, I was thinking about how I'm going to be up here a lot more and I don't have to go to London every single weekend. And it was getting really tiring. To Denise's question, she says, you know, it must have been an emotional week.
It's not a question.
I was going down to London every weekend. The trains were off at the weekends, so sometimes I was having to stay in London from Friday to Monday, rather.
And just to be crystal clear here, this is Darren Grimes Unleashed.
But it's so lovely to be able to see family at a weekend and to be able to actually have what feels like a relatively normal life.
That does sound lovely. And it's equally lovely, Darren. I think I speak for all of us when I say it's lovely that you're finally able to say this stuff without being restricted, without being silenced, now that you're unleashed to say this stuff. I feel, you know, the political discourse is all the richer for it.
And I've missed that. I've been at GB News since 2021, you know, so it's been years and years.
Grimes, of course, forgot there, I'm sure, to mention that he actually left GB News for a period of 6 months. In all that time, we still don't know why, but it could be related. I don't know for certain, could be related to those allegations of sexual harassment for a younger male straight colleague, guys. What else has he been doing? Let's go for a deeper dive on what Darren Grimes has been doing now that he's unshackled, now that he's unleashed.
Good evening, my friends. I am back again for my second attempt going live like this. And Charlie rightly says 0.005 degrees Celsius. Oh, well, that's got to be worth busting the country open for.
All right. Now you're talking. Now we're into the A game. Top tier content. Climate crisis, science denial.
And he says, and that's by the end of this sodding century. And he's absolutely right to say that.
So I suppose two things here. First, is this any different to the stuff that he would have said on GB News? Like, is he unrestricted? Is he unleashed and now he can say this stuff? And secondly, I suppose more importantly, though, a little more boring, is this accurate? And the answer is no. No, the whole thing with a increase of the temperature is that it will melt the ice caps. That causes flooding. Plus the carbon in the atmosphere that is causing the increase in the temperature causes more erratic, violent weather. But you guys know this. You guys know this. You're smart people. Does Grimes know this? honestly, I don't know. It's up to him, isn't it? It's up to him to decide if he knows that already. I suspect that he does. He's not actually that stupid. He's just hoping you are.
Good for you, Charlie. Thank you very much for that reply.
Okay, look. Is any of this stuff content that you wouldn't have expected to see or hear on Darren Grimes' GB News show? Not that I anticipate that many of you are, avid viewers, that you tune in particularly regularly to GB News. But I'm just saying, like, if the argument is that you're going independent because now you can say the things that you could never say before on GB News, then where are they? What are you saying now that is so different to what was on GB News before? Before, GB News, restricting. It's silencing you. It's censoring you. Now, you're unleashed. You're independent. You can say whatever you like. So why are the two products exactly the fucking same? I don't know what you're thinking. And you know what? You're right to. You are right to have the instinct that maybe what Abe Thompson is doing here is he's trying to egg on Darren Grimes to say some Ofcom not happy stuff, some hugely racist or hugely unscientific stuff, egging him on like, come on, Darren, say the stuff that they wouldn't let you say on GB News. Yes, I am. I would love to see that. Like, now that you're unleashed, Darren, why don't you start your next live stream with an N-bomb and a rainbow swastika jacket and 5 Roman salutes? Go on, son, you're unleashed, remember?
To what Sir Keir Starmer says, because Sir Keir Starmer clearly doesn't know anything about this Netflix show because he refers to it as a sodding documentary.
Everyone is talking about Adolescence, the series by Knowsley's own Stephen Graham and Christine Tamarco.
Oh yeah, this is actually a really interesting topic to get into. But let's stay on Darren Grimes for but a moment, shall we?
The creators of the show are calling for screenings in Parliament and schools.
Yes, and at home we are watching Adolescence with our children. I've got a
Evidently not.
14-year-old girl, and it's a very, very good documentary to watch, or drama.
Like, can we just pause there for a minute just to recognise the fact, like, he calls it a documentary and then he corrects himself. He's like a documentary or drama, right? But to Grimes, he's like, no, he called it a documentary. That means he couldn't possibly have watched it because he called it a documentary.
Because he refers to it as a sodding documentary.
Documentary to watch, or drama.
Like, I think this sort of thing winds right-wingers up more because when the left, and I'm, single quote, calling Keir Starmer the left, I think when people they perceive to be the left get something wrong and then they correct themselves, the whole idea of, like, correcting the record or acknowledging that you've got something maybe slightly off and then saying, like, yeah, it's not a documentary, it's a drama. The idea of correcting the record is completely foreign to people like, the Telegraph, the Express, 1 in 12 Londoners is a blah, 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 the Thought Police, all of that stuff. Like, all of that stuff has been debunked. You never see any correction or acknowledgement that all of the hysteria before or all of the hyperbole about Thought Police was actually completely substanceless. Then when Keir Starmer says, yeah, we're actually watching that documentary. He said it was a documentary. No, I mean drama. Oh, but he said documentary first. So he could only ever have meant documentary. Oh yeah, but then he like fact checked himself in real time, Darren. Fact checked. What the fuck is a fact check?
This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent. We are putting in specialist rape and sexual offences teams in every police force, but this is also a matter of culture that I think it's important that across the whole House we tackle this emerging and growing problem.
Yeah, it's a problem with culture, but it's never a problem with culture when it's Pakistani grooming gangs that are raping young girls, is it? That wasn't worthy of an inquiry, but you'll set up a task force to tell young boys that they are an inherent problem.
I mean, look, guys, I'm not laughing at the issue here. We can get onto the issue in a minute, but can we just marvel at the fact here that, so here he is, like, so the conversation is about adolescence, right? Which is about young boys being radicalized online, misogyny, hate crimes, violence, knife crime, poor parenting. And in comes Darren Grimes. In comes Daz, guys. Friend of the show, Darren Grimes. In he comes to somehow kind of twist and contort and pivot this into being a conversation about Muslim grooming gangs. It's a magic trick. It's what it is, isn't it? It's a magic trick. Waves his little wand and boom, we're back to talking about Muslims.
Yeah, it's a problem with culture, but it's never a problem with culture when it's Pakistani grooming gangs that are raping young girls, is it? That wasn't worthy of an inquiry.
And then we're back to this fantasy nightmare, this Telegraph-fueled fantasy nightmare, this Faragian nonsense that there wasn't an inquiry into Muslim grooming gangs. There was. It's been established, it's been corrected, it's been debunked 1,000 times. It's already happened. Like, I don't know what Keir Starmer is going to do about the Loch Ness Monster. It's like, where's the Loch Ness Monster, Darren? Right here, in this photo. It's not a real photo, Darren. It's not real. No, it is. What is he going to do about it? Right. I mean, we do have one plan, Darren. We're going to have you diagnosed and medicated. It's going to make it all better, mate. Doctors come in white coats, ready to jab it. No, don't give me the jab. No, it's all right, mate. It's going to make it all better. No, don't. I'm being silenced again. I'm starting to get a picture, starting to get an understanding of maybe why it was mutually agreed that Darren Grimes might leave GB News. Which sort of brings me on to the next little screenshot here of his YouTube channel. So there we are, right? We're talking about adolescence. And he twists it and turns it into a thing about Muslims, Muslim grooming gangs. And then, here we are on videos that he's put up of him on GB News. And it's, one of the first there in the search results, the grooming gangs. Darren Grimes fires back, refusing to be silenced over Pakistani mass rape cover-up, guys. Or, what's these other two here? Hold on. The media is silent on this. We are mugs for letting a murdering migrant stay in the UK. Like, you get my point, right? Here he is saying that he's been silenced, that he was being censored before, and now he can finally tell you the things that he was previously restricted from saying. I'm saying, look at his fucking YouTube. It's the same thing. It's the exact same product. Guys, let's move on, shall we? We'll check in with Daz again another time. It's got to be done. Got to periodically check in on Darren Grimes and see how he's faring in his new form, in his final form, as an independent journalist celebrating free speech.
TWAT.
What should we look at next? Oh, yes. Okay. I forgot about our weird news story for this week. Are you ready, guys? I've got a good one for you. Here we go. This comes courtesy of the friendlyatheist.com. So, don't know how, unbiased and neutral it's going to be. Immediately, I'm getting a vibe of, anti-religion or whatever. But anyway, I thought it might be funny. Here it is. Columbus School District bans candy bribes used to lure kids to Bible class. This is their marketing approach now. This is the way they're getting the kids in, getting ready, primed, ripe for indoctrination. Not for anything else. I think maybe you thought I was going to go down a different path there. As soon as I said ripe. No, just ripe for indoctrination. Ripe for religious brainwashing. You got to get them in early, guys. Columbus School District bans candy bribes used to lure kids to Bible class. Should we go into it? Should we deep dive into this as well? Let's take a look, shall we? The Columbus City School District in Ohio adopted a new policy to crack down on religious groups using treats to entice students to attend meetings. Like, is this seriously how they're getting, like, the numbers up now? Is it? Like, religion in general across the West is really struggling to find new recruits these days. Possibly because there's so much evidence all around us that God is dead. There is no God. How could you look at the way that the world is now and go, yeah, this totally I can see that it's all part of a compassionate and good master plan. Everything makes sense now. You know, I was frittering before. I was beginning to question my faith, guys. But then I saw the reemergence of polio and measles attacking the very young and innocent, and the rising up of poverty and unfairness. And now I can see now. God is very much alive and with us. Don't know how you guys feel about it all. Never been so certain. Anyway, let's get into it. It says, an Ohio school district has revised its policy allowing students to legally skip school in order to take Bible indoctrination classes. I mean, I did say it was, part of the Friendly Atheist website, right? It's going to have a lean to it, this article. Allowing students to legally skip school in order to take Bible indoctrination classes, to say that the groups running those classes cannot give students candies and toys to help lure their classmates to the religious lessons. I mean, I'm sort of surprised that's even allowed, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not saying that every priest out there or every representative of every offshoot of Christianity is a raging fucking paedophile. I'm not saying that. That is not what this show is about, guys. Casting aspersions on the good people of the church. No. But I am saying that if you were a representative of the church, if you were even half politically aware or socially aware of the reputation of priests within the Catholic and, yes, sometimes Southern Baptist Church in America, if you were even half aware of the reputation of some of these priests, I would have thought it would be in your interest to be like, should we hand out candies to lure in children? You should be like, no. Are you insane? No, we're not going to be pictured or reported as having done that. That is not a route down which we should be walking. I can't imagine Jesus Christ would lead us down that road. Like, if somebody asked the minister or the bishop how we go about repairing the brand of the Catholic Church, how do we repair the brand of the Southern Baptist and Catholic and Christian offshoot churches after all of the pedophile scandals? How do we do that? Oh, you should definitely try luring school children out of school to follow you with your sweets, with your trail of sweeties. Are you insane? Have you got any understanding of PR? Like, I tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me of this story that we covered. How many weeks ago was this? Like 3 or 4 weeks ago? Maybe it's longer. Maybe it's a couple of months now. The Detroit priest, host of Exorcist Files, who used girls' hair to floss his own teeth. And it's like, it's not even the things that they do. It's not even the things that they say or how they behave. It's the total absence of appreciation for how it looks for a priest or for a representative of the Christian church to be behaving that way. The tunnel vision, the total lack of self-awareness is what gets me. Anyway, back to the actual weird news story that we're doing this time. It says, all of this is happening just as Ohio institutes a new law requiring all districts to have some kind of religious released time policy. If you've heard anything about released time, it probably centers around a Christian ministry called LifeWise Academy. Don't know if you guys have ever heard about this. Not something I'm familiar with. Which offers Bible classes that students are meant to take during the school day LifeWise takes care of the curriculum, staff, and background checks. Local chapters, usually churches, can tap into the network for use in their own local public school districts. It says students then go to those churches during a school day, get their dose of biblical indoctrination, then return to school for the rest of the afternoon. I mean, even just the idea of missing chunks of your day at school where you are actually learning, in theory, proper stuff. Life lesson-y, maths, English, science stuff. You're missing that to go and hang out in a church and learn about the bearded ghosty man who lives up in the clouds. That's what is happening here, is it? Technically, release time policies are religiously neutral, it says. Any organisation is allowed to offer these classes to students. Parents have to opt in to letting their kids participate. No school funds are used for them. For example, if students are transported to a local church for these lessons, the church has to pay for the buses. Students also have to make up any missed assignments. They also can't skip certain core classes like English or maths. Okay, all right. It's not totally reckless and irresponsible, just a bit weird. NBC News reported in March 2024 that LifeWise now has chapters in more than 300 schools in a dozen states, teaching 35,000 public school students. And then that's 30,000 future MAGA voters, Republican voters, probably flunk out of high school, no degree, end up on Social Security. And the circle goes around again. The program was so disruptive that last year the Westerville City Schools announced it would get rid of its release time policy entirely. The Worthington City Schools did the same thing. Which is yeah, right? Because if you were trying to run a school and then half of the students come from Goddy families and the Goddy families are like, yeah, we want to sign you up to go and learn about Jesus. And then they, leave and then half the class don't understand the next lesson when that comes around. Like, Mary Jane, we're trying to do the algebra here. Now, you got all your sums wrong on the homework. Now, if you got something to say, you say it to the whole class now. She turns around like she's just been interrupted. She's like, what did you say? I said, God damn it, you got to study, girl. You're going to grow up stupid. You're never going to get a job. Is that what you want? She can't even spell algebra, let alone do it. Doesn't care if she could do algebra or studying or any of that nonsense. She's got a mouthful of sugar, mouthful of candy at 13 years old, hand on the Bible, and she's fucking pregnant. Probably. I don't know. That is the vibe that I'm getting from this story. Is the schools probably hate it. It probably is disruptive. They're trying to run the lesson plan. Half of the kids go off to some fucking church down the road, get lured away with a trail of candy. Then it says, the program was so disruptive that last year the Westerville City Schools announced it would get rid of its released time policy entirely. The Worthington City Schools group, I guess, did the same thing. That infuriated Republicans so much that they decided to pass a law requiring schools to adopt released time. Like, it's never enough. I've said this about, 2 or 3 times about different, again, offshoots of conservatism, though, where it is not enough. It's never enough for them to be able to harp on about not being censored and about how their freedom of speech has to be respected and protected at all costs. That is not enough. Like, whether it is the impending decimation and destruction of blue sky, which I still think will happen, they'll find some problem with it, or whether it is the mandatory nature of this released time. The fact that you have to go to the local church. And listen, it's not enough that we protect certain people's freedom of expression. They want to force you to sit there and listen to them. It says, earlier this year, Governor Mike DeWine signed into law House Bill 8, a Republican-backed bill known as the Parents' Bill of Rights. It goes into effect on April the 9th. While most of the bill deals with sex education and LGBTQ issues, and it's written by a Republican, you say? Oh, well, I'm sure it's definitely sane, modern, inclusive, and science-based. There's a one-word change in the law regarding released time policies. Instead of allowing school districts to offer that time, the law will now force them to offer it. So yeah, it says if a school district wasn't allowing released time before, they will have to now. And that's a huge gift to Christian nationalists, because it's usually evangelical Catholic churches that have the resources to offer these courses and pay for the costs associated with them. I mean, can we crowdfund like a mosque thing? Just to fuck with them? Can we please do that? Let's have a round robin. Let's crowdfund a couple of little school buses to ship white nationalist gaudy Christian kids. Lure them into mosques with a trail of juicy fruits and get them to learn about Allah. Let's do that. I'm sure they'll be like super supportive of it. I'm sure they will love it for this released time that they mandatorily want to offer everyone. I'm sure that definitely won't be reported as part of some grooming process. Like Darren Grimes will be all over it. It'd be part of like the Muslim grooming gang sting for him, won't it? Won't be anything about released time then. It'll be Muslims alluring and grooming your kids with sweeties to indoctrinate and radicalize them in these mosques. Can you believe it? Thank goodness I'm no longer contracted or employed. I mean leashed. I mean restricted by GB News. So now I can tell you these things. This truth, guys. I mean, the other funny thing about this will be the side effects of the policy in like 10 years' time, 15 years' time. Because if you think of it like socio-economically, if you think about it like what's going to come out the other end of this, likely will be the outcome that white Christian nationalist children who are more likely to go to these like little gaudy Bible classes, right? They will then be more likely to fall behind because they've missed out on this lesson or that module or this piece of homework, right? So academically, they fall behind. But then spool forward to what happens a few years down the line when the Muslim kids, the Jewish kids, excel academically because they didn't miss any of their lessons. They all get like A's and B's in their, equivalent of GCSE or AS level, whatever. It's like, where will the hate and the anger and the jealousy go then? When Cletus and Mary Jane are looking out over the street and they're like, hey, how come Mohammed's got such a big house and we still living in a trailer? How come our children got measles, but their children are all healthy? That don't make no sense. That's what I want to walk past and go like, look, I know it doesn't seem fair. I know probably makes you angry. I understand that. But if it helps, if you need something, some sort of bit of, sugar on the medicine to help it go down, some way of making it make sense to you. Try and think of it like this, Cletus. It's all part of God's plan. It's all part of God. Like, isn't that how it works? That's how it works. God moves in mysterious ways, Cletus. Guys, that's it. That's it for this one. Thank you so much to everyone who's continuing to tune in. I put out 2 shows every week, a midweek one and then the Friday night live show. So thanks very much to those of you for tuning in. Record number of live show viewers last Friday night. Was feeling pretty full of myself after that. 460 people, was it? 450 people, something like that. Can't remember now. But yes, that's going from strength to strength. So thanks very much to everybody who tuned in, and especially those who jumped over from Politics Social for the first time. I will be back, of course, this coming Friday. For the live show again. I'm also back every morning, or most mornings, about 11 a.m. with the Alternative Paper Review, in which we rip, roast and ridicule what passes for the press, the news in this formerly Great Britain. But until then, take care of yourselves, keep it booge, keep it influencer, and we are out this motherfucker. Cha!
TWAT.